If you guys enjoy these NFL mailbags, especially when there are so many trade questions I know that happen, then like today's video. Very simple. The more likes we get, the more videos we do. So if you like these, just like the video. It's that simple. True Allure. How should the Niners address the lack of communication on both sides? I think you got to get in there and study some film and talk your way through it. The Niners aren't a bad team. They've had 2 bad games. I think they'll be able to bounce back, but this might be an example of you blew out the Cowboys, everyone crowned you the best team in the NFL, and you got a little bit too cocky for yourself. Maybe that's the issue. Cameron Briglin. I think the Bills will trade for Hunter Renfrow before the trade deadline. Funnily enough, that was my trade idea on our most recent trade predictions video, at least the one that I did, I should say. I think it makes sense. Slot receiver, short area stuff, make life easier on Josh Allen. There's some tight end injury issues. They weren't really respecting your 2 tight end run sets anyway because Kincaid can't block, so that was kind of always my concern with that draft pick there. I would have no issues. I think it'd be pretty cheap, fills a need, and gets you pretty solid value. Tyler G., Ravens trade ideas. The defense is outplaying its talent level. I think it's credit to Mike McDonald, by the way. He's a fantastic defensive coordinator. So I would look for some more secondary help. Hopefully, Mark Humphrey still, because I'm worried about Humphrey getting hurt. Like, if Humphrey goes down, that's a dangerous room. Would not be mad at a running back either. Even a less big name than a Barkley or a Henry, I think would help out the Ravens a bit as well. From Steven, will Brian Burns get moved for a first? Remember, Brian Burns, the Panthers rejected an offer of 2 future firsts, so not really straight up 2 firsts, because it would have been, likely would have been a late one this year and a future late one, but they did turn down 2 firsts from the Rams, allegedly, and then said, we'd rather trade the Bears DJ Moore, because I think it's easier to find a receiver, and have not paid Brian Burns yet. So if he gets moved, I think a first at minimum is going to be the cost. There might be a team that steps up. That's one of your best feasible options. If you think a first-round pick is going to get moved this year, it's Brian Burns. Rams might come calling again. I'm not sure they're fully by themselves if they're selling all off season, but there should be some interest in Burns if the Panthers decide to trade him. All right, over or under 7.5 trades between now and the end of the NFL trade deadline. O for over, U for under. It is the pinned comment on today's show, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. From Fire Mike McCarthy, why does Jerry Jones want teams to call them instead of him calling to trade for a player? Because Jerry wants to win the deal, and you don't win the deal by calling for a player. They don't think they're desperate, so they're down to make trades at the right cost. This is how they do business with the Jones boys in charge. I hate it. Eric Burton, do the Bucs make a move? If it is, I think it'll be minor. I don't think they get actively aggressive in terms of buying or selling. NFC South's wide open between the Saints, Bucs, and Falcons. I doubt any of those 3 teams get ultra aggressive. And in the end, they choose to just kind of stand pat and see if they can make that run for the 4 seed in the NFC. Milvet313, do the Falcons make a trade? How about that? Kind of answer that one accidentally. I think they kind of stand pat. They did make the one move for Van Jefferson, very minor trade. I think that's kind of all they'll do there. Maybe a young, cheap trade materializes, but I don't think they're going to be big buyers at the deadline. Food review. Since we know the NFC East curse is a thing, should the NFL look into and change the rule on the 12-5 Eagles have to go to Atlanta? Doesn't seem fair. I actually like it. I know I'm different on that one. Winning your division should matter. This doesn't have to be, I don't want it to become NBA. Like, does anyone know who the NBA divisions are? It's like, the Bulls and they're in the West with no one knows what it is. It doesn't matter. It's meaningless. I want the rivalry games. I want the division titles to matter. So if you want to install a must be above 500 rule, I'm actually okay with that one. But I do think there should be some big rewards for winning your division, because you only play the teams you end up in your division twice. That stuff does matter in the end. Austin, should the Raiders trade Josh Jacobs and Davante Adams and tank? Should they? Maybe. Will they? No. Josh McDaniels thinks he can win. Now, I think in reality, Josh McDaniels, because of who he is as a head coach and decision maker, is tanking this team on accident, but I don't think that they will. I think it would make sense to trade those guys away. Maybe in the offseason you shop Davante Adams again, because I think he's unhappy, because how could he not be? Like, he's not getting the ball and they're losing games. Star receivers hate that shit. It never goes well for them. I don't trust McDaniels at all. Whether it's at this deadline or maybe this upcoming offseason, it might be time for some Josh McDaniels firing and some rebuilding in Vegas, despite the maybe cash flow issues that Mark Davis has. Should the Raiders blow it all up? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off for me in the comment section right now. Andre, will the Raiders draft a QB in round 1 next year? Depends on where they are taking a pick. If they're at pick like 2, hell yeah, they are. If they're at pick 17 and they rally late, probably not. But they should consider it. They really should, because they also won't play O'Connell. He's not the guy, I don't think, but Jimmy G ain't. Hoyer sure as hell ain't. Again, McDaniels is a clown. Marcos Noah, can you give me some good trades the Dolphins can do before the deadline? Can you call about Garrett Bowles? Can you call about some offensive linemen? Easier said than done, I know. The Pages won't trade you linemen because it's division, which kind of stinks. Is Denver shopping Garrett Bowles? Are the Titans shopping Daniel Brunskill? I think I pronounced the last name correctly. Like, that's a great name. Knows the offense, McDaniel connection, fills a huge need. I think I just love that. That's a great idea for Miami. Mark Kearns, as a Bucs fan, should we buy, sell, or do nothing? I would stand pat. Other teams might want a Mike Evans or whatever, but if the Bucs had 2 wins, I'd be like, you know what? Maybe they should consider selling at this stage. You know, maybe they should blow it up and look to move on from some key pieces. I do think, look, you have a tough Thursday night game against the Bills. I get all of that. Worst case, you're still going to be a game and a half, 2 games back, whatever it is, of the NFC South, where you should have just beaten the Falcons. You actually have a negative 1 point differential entering Thursday Night Football. Like, you're not that far away. I would hold pat because you can still win that division. Speaking of winning, today's show made possible by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports in North America. It is just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, the pros, the sharks, the sharps, etc., you simply pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you watch the winnings roll in. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments and the description. My picks, by the way, for this week's slate of games. No TNF involved there. More than Bryce Young passing yards, breakout games coming. Travis Kelce, more than half touchdown in that one, and more than Trevor Lawrence passing yards as well. I love the flex play because I'm great at coming up one leg short, so I'm going to keep doing the flex play and coming out not as on top, but still on top in the end. Clayton Lockhart, what O-line or a linebacker is out there for the Cowboys to bring in? Vikings stun the Niners. I don't know if Jordan Hicks will really be available. They should call on him. I think it's a good name. Denver's got some pieces. Josey Jewell, Alex Singleton, Garrett Bowles as well. Daryl Richard, Jonathan Allen to Detroit. Could this be a possibility? I love the fit. I love the idea for the Lions. You had an impact 3 technique, one of my favorite defensive linemen in the NFL. I would be surprised, despite Allen's understandably frustrated public comments about losing, if the Commanders traded him. They've paid him, and that organization, the guys in charge, led by Ron Rivera, it does not benefit their own job security to trade pieces away. Makes it a bit unlikely for that to go down. Mitch Wilson, if the Panthers finish last, who will likely to draft Caleb Williams? I think the answer is nobody. I think the Bears do. Unless Justin Fields balls out down the stretch, you take Caleb Williams. You buy yourself some time on that quarterback clock. It's a possible outcome. Don't get me wrong. Otherwise, I think the team that picks number 2 comes up to snag him. And then maybe the Bears should trade down again. Or the team at 2 or 3 comes up to get Caleb Williams. Mark Barron, what in the world is wrong with the Commanders? Don't be disrespectful, please. And thanks. I'll try. Look, they're just not that good of a team on offense. Not trying to be rude. Sam Howell is a chaos agent. He'll make some great plays for you. There are a lot of sacks in that offense because Sam Howell holds the ball way too long. He holds the ball, doesn't throw it away. The O-line's not great. The scheme from the enemy has not been enough quick game to get the ball out quick enough. When it is, it's Howell holding it. You know, you're not getting the ball to Jahan Dotson consistently enough. I think Howell's an NFL quarterback, and he's top 40-ish, but he might not be top 20-ish, and that's holding you back despite a good defense. So I think Ron Rivera at times is just kind of an outdated coach. I just think they're lacking enough talent at the critical areas, specifically on offense. If you want more free videos here on the channel, then just subscribe. It's that simple. NFL news, rumors, trades, draft, free agency, playoff stuff as well. Hit that sub button if you haven't already done so. How about them Niners? Says give us Cordero Patterson, Atlanta. Give us Chase Young, Washington. And give us Jaylon Johnson, Chicago. I doubt you're going to get Chase Young. I think Jaylon Johnson, if he's traded, the Niners are a great fit. Patterson actually might be available. Aaron Arnold, Puka Nacua, rest of the year. A fantasy question on today's show. I think Puka Nacua falls into the not great category of he's definitely worth starting every week. He will produce at a higher rate for the most part than you would expect, and you won't be able to get the proper trade value back for him. He's probably a bonus player on your roster. You might be better served trading off a bigger name and riding with Nacua the rest of the way. Mano, I assume that the ZB is silent there, which I think is pretty fun. Trade Jair Alexander. If the Packers want to do it, that's fine with me. I think that'd be pretty dumb of them if they traded him away because he's a long-term piece. But if they shop him, a lot of teams would have interest. Vivek 515. Do you see Quentin Johnston ever doing anything this season? That is the Chargers receiver, first-round pick from TCU. I would hope so. It's not a 100% match, but there is a bad history of if your receiver doesn't put up good numbers in year one as a first-round pick, they pretty much never do. Like, the success rate's non-existent. So that's a concern for me. From Peter, will the Cardinals trade Hollywood Brown? The money's a bit of a problem for other teams. I also wonder if Arizona, with the new regime, wants to make sure when Kyler Murray comes back, he has some playmakers. Because if he doesn't, and you're tanking, that hurts his trade value. You kind of want to see what you have in him, if you're going to take the pick, the QB or not. So I think, no, they won't trade him. Now, name a player who you want to see traded this year. Sound off for me in the comments section. Any player, any team, who do you want to see moved? Bulls Nation, the Colts trade a second for Jerry Jeudy and Josey Jewell. Ooh. I actually don't know if linebacker's a big need for Indy. You know, they have Shaquille Leonard. I think they have enough pieces at linebacker overall to not justify what Jewell's a rental. Judy's a longer-term piece. I think they would have interest there to help out their receiving core, for help Richardson long-term. But I think a rental in Josey Jewell doesn't move the needle for a team that's not really going to be a real playoff threat. Gaming Wizard, should the Bucs bench Baker Mayfield? No. Not great against the Falcons. I get that. So that's kind of 2 iffy games in a row. He's been one of the better, surprising QBs this year. He's been solid. He's not perfect. He's probably not a real long-term answer, but Kyle Trask ain't either. So I would not bench Baker Mayfield if I were Tampa.